Hey there, thank you for joining me for today's practice. My name is Paula. So today's practice is just a nourishing practice where we're going to move through the whole body quite gently, but we'll do some beautiful opening work through the upper body as well as a little bit of work through the hips. If you've got a bolster, that would be great. Please have your bolster with you. Alternatively, you could use some quite firm cushions or pillows, or maybe even just a block if you've got a block. So make sure you're nice and warm and comfortable, and then we're going to make a start. So sitting in a cross-legged position, one leg in front of the other, on your bolster, your cushions, placing the hands down onto the thighs, and then gently closing down the eyes when you're ready. Just taking a few moments here to settle and find the breath. And if you are sitting up on your bolster or your cushions, just noticing how having the hips elevated and the knees a little bit lower than the hips naturally encourages that elongation through the spine. Crown of the head gently lifting up towards the ceiling as the hips stay heavy and grounded. Just allowing the face to be soft, releasing the jaw. Shoulder heads dropping away from the ears. And having a sense of the whole body together. Sense of the whole front of the body and the whole back of the body. And the right side of the body and the left side of the body. And the whole body together. And then let's open up the eyes. Starting to take a few shoulder circles, so shoulders forward, up and back. Forward, up and back. And just a few more like that. Just making the circles nice and large. Changing the direction, going back, up and forward. Back, up and forward. Just keeping the breathing nice and easy. And then releasing that down, interlacing the hands at the base of the head, and then thumbs are pointing down here. So using the hands, just lengthen up through the entire spine, taking an inhale to lift the sternum, lift the eyes, and then as you exhale, letting the head drop down, little C curve, letting those elbows drop in, then inhale, extend up through the upper spine, lifting the eyes, head resting back into the hands, and then exhale, going the other way, little C curve, elbows dropping in, and then inhaling, expanding open through the upper body, lifting the eyes, and then exhaling, C curving in, and then coming just back upright, releasing the arms down, and then taking the arms forward and up, taking an inhale, and then take an exhale to twist to your right, left hand, reaching for that right thigh, and then inhale back through center, exhale to the left. And then inhale through center, exhale to the right. And one more time, inhale through center, exhaling to the left. And then releasing back to center. And then transitioning the legs into your malasana position. So coming into our squat. And if you really don't want to use the bolster or your blocks, feel free to just come off there. We're just going to take this as a nice supported position if you would like to. Bring the elbows to the inside of the inner thighs, palms of hands sealing together, little squeeze through the inner thighs, trying to lengthen up through the entire spine. Let's take a few breaths here. And you might like to stay here. If you'd like to, we're going to take our broken wing variation with our malasana. So we're bringing the back of the left hand to the side of that left waist and then hooking that left elbow to the inner thigh. Same thing with this right hand, back of the right hand onto the right side waist and then hooking the elbow to the inside. And just holding here. And we're just going to continue trying to have a sense of lengthening up through the entire spinal column. Breathing into the shoulders, particularly the back or the posterior part of that shoulder area, the deltoids. You might even like to just close your eyes. Just breathing into any sensation and noticing if there's any space to let go. So one more full breath here. And then gently starting to release the arms. And then coming off your bolster, so sitting forward of the bolster. And then let's just change the position so that the bolster's behind you, facing forward on your mat if you're not already there. And then take the hands back behind you, opening up through the chest and taking some windscreen wipes with your legs. And you might have the feet as wide as the mat, dropping the knees to the right, through center, dropping them to the left. Just moving side to side. Just noticing any little points of resistance, just being mindful of that. And then bringing the legs back up through center. And having the bolster back behind, we're going to place the hands on top of the shins. Take an inhale to lengthen up through the spine, so lift the eyes. As you exhale, seek over the spine, drawing the navel in, and then starting to lean back on your bolster. Make sure it's right behind you so you can lie all the way back, letting the head rest back down. If you need to adjust yourself, make sure you find a comfortable position here so you can really release those arms out, or maybe extend the arms back behind you. Just find a position that feels good and then let the legs be long. Let's be a little bit active through those legs here, pressing the inner edges of the feet forward, feet together and flexed, but just really relax the upper body here. Finding the breath. And then for the last couple of breaths, let's just let the legs completely relax. Let the feet fall away from one another. And then let's start to come out, opening up the eyes. If they're closed, bending the knees up. Just using your arms, help yourself up to a seated position. And then turning slightly to the side and laying the right side of the body onto the bolster or the cushions.
extending that right arm long, taking the left arm up and over, hooking onto that left wrist and coming over into this, this side stretch here. You can feel free to close the eyes. Just taking a few breaths here. Opening up the eyes, releasing that top hand to begin, and let's just take the arm down and reach the fingertips away. So you're getting a little bit of a stretch through that left side neck, and then letting the head trail behind a little bit as you come up, right? Turning to face the center. Let's just take a cat-cow here in between sides. So hands onto the shins, taking an inhale, and then exhale to C-curve through the spine. Draw the navel in, and then inhale back upright. Let's go to the other side. So over onto the left hip, lying the left side of the body over your bolster or cushions, taking that right arm up and over, holding onto the right wrist. Feeling free to close the eyes. Just allowing the hips and the legs to be heavy. Noticing if there's any unnecessary effort that you can let go of here. And then opening up the eyes, so releasing that top arm, pointing the fingers away, maybe feeling a little bit of stretch along that right side neck, and then letting the head trail behind a little bit as you come back upright, extending that right leg long to come back to center. And once again, let's take our cat-cow here, on hands onto the shins, taking an inhale, lift the sternum, lift the eyes, exhale, C-curve through the spine, draw the navel in, and then inhale, coming back upright. Taking the bolster just off to the side now, crossing the legs, and make your way back into your down-facing dog. Just for a couple of breaths here. Pressing down through the palms of the hands. Feeling free to take any movement if you'd like to, otherwise hold stillness. Just rising up onto the balls of the feet a little bit, taking that right leg up, opening the hip out and then bending into that right knee. And then we're going to circle this right leg out to the side, stepping to the outside of that right hand. And then taking a few moments here. If you need to bring the right hand a little bit closer in, just feel free to do that. Give yourself enough space. Keep the knee off for the first few moments here. Reach that left heel back, reach the sternum forward. And then let's drop that right knee down. And you could release the top of the left foot down if you'd like to, but I quite like having the toes tucked under, and it just gives a little bit of a stronger sensation and stretch through that left hip flexor. Just find the breath. Just noticing as if there's anywhere you can let go. And then we're going to start to make a transition here into our half pigeon. So you can release the top of the left foot down, start to walk this right foot across to the left side of the mat, and then bringing that shin bone down. And if you would like to bring the right heel in a little bit closer, just to give yourself a little bit more space, any knee injuries or anything like that, please bring that right heel in. And option, of course, to just support yourself through popping something underneath that right hip, maybe a blanket, a cushion, or a block. If you can, stay upright for a few breaths, thinking about lifting up through both sides of the waist, through the front of the body. And maybe for some of us,
option to extend those arms back, taking them off the mat for a couple of breaths, lifting the sternum up. Taking an inhale, and then as you exhale, bringing the hands down and starting to walk the hands forward, coming down to the forearms. This is somewhere you could have your bolster and rest down on your bolster. Slightly scanning through the body, noticing if there's anywhere you can let go. One more full breath here. And then starting to walk the hands back up. Just making your way back into your down facing dog. Just take your time. And once you're in your down facing dog, just feeling free to pedal out through the feet or just have a little bit of movement if that feels good. Just releasing out through those hips again. Just finding stillness for a moment. Rising up into the balls of feet, taking that left leg up into your three-legged dog, and then opening out through the hip, bending through that left knee, and then keep circling this left knee out to the left and stepping that left foot to the outside of the left hand. Taking a few moments here with the right knee off, reach the right heel back. Tips of the shoulders away from the ears. And then let's drop that right knee down. Remember, option to release the top of the right foot down or keep it tucked under. Just meet any rising sensation with your breathing. Just noticing if you can soften anywhere in the body, in the face. And then release the top of the right foot down and start to walk this left foot across to the right side of the mat, transitioning into our half pigeon. We're trying to keep the hips square down to the mat. Remember, bringing that left heel in if that feels better for you, or just propping yourself up a little bit more on that left side. Trying to stay upright for a few breaths here. You'll walk your hands a little bit further back, lifting up through both sides of the waist, through the front of the body. Maybe option to release those hands off the mat. And lifting the sternum, lifting the eyes. Taking one more inhale. And then exhale, bringing the hands down and starting to make your way forward. Option to take the bolster and rest down on the bolster. Just observing the changes in sensation in the body.
And noticing if there's anywhere you can let go. Last couple of breaths here. And then starting to walk your hands back upright. Making your way back into down facing dog. Feeling free to pedal out through the feet if you'd like to here. Otherwise, just holding stillness for a couple of breaths. Looking forward towards the hands, come down onto one knee and then the other knee. Taking your bolster and bringing it back behind you, just making it long. So just lining up the bolster so it lines up with your spine, so lengthways. And then coming back, facing forward, and we're taking our Supta Virasana here. If you know that you need a little bit more height with your bolster, then feel free to elevate it, pop a couple of blocks underneath the upper part of the bolster. Or if you don't like to use a bolster, feel free to not use it. And then let's open the feet out, sitting in between the feet, toes pointing back. A little bit of space between the back of the pelvis and the bolster, maybe about 10 centimeters or so. And then starting to lie yourself back down. You're going to lift the hips up and lengthen the tailbone a little bit towards your knees. And then resting all the way back. And you could just have the arms long. Make sure you adjust your prop to feel comfortable. You could even have like a little pillow or just interlace the hands at the base of the head. Just finding a position where you can stay for about 90 seconds. Closing down the eyes once you're ready. Just allowing the whole body just to surrender down to the mat and to the bolster. And opening to whatever's here. Using the breath to meet any rising sensation. And if you're feeling any sharpness in your knees, then I would encourage you to come back out and just release the legs out long. You will feel some discomfort in your knees, but we don't want any sharp shooting pains. Last couple of breaths here. And then starting to gently open up the eyes, using your hands and your forearms to make your way back upright. And then let's just take the bolster away. We keep it close by so we can bring it back underneath our knees for our Shavasana. Sitting over to one side, extending the legs out long. Just giving the legs a little bit of a wriggle and just giving the knees a bit of a rub. And then let's bring the bolster underneath the knees. It's already set up. And lying down onto your back. And before we take our Shavasana, let's take Happy Baby. So setting up the heels above the knees, holding the outside edges of the feet, squeezing the knees in. An option here to take a little rock from side to side. And then coming to stillness, extending the legs out long. Taking some time to make yourself feel comfortable, really warm, maybe a blanket on top of you. Just allowing the eyes to close down. Just noticing the back surface of the body in contact with the mat and the bolster. Just imagining those points of contact just becoming a little bit deeper and a little bit heavier. Just completely surrendering the weight of the body. Feeling supported by the ground underneath you. And allowing yourself to come to rest for the next few minutes. Please feel free to stay resting here for as long as you would like to. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'll see you next time. Namaste.